Hacksaw. 2x4, it is Hacksaw, tough guy. Knowing it's the Hacksaw Hour. 2x4, it is Hacksaw, tough guy. Knowing it's the Hacksaw Hour.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back for episode 3 of the Hacksaw Hour. And you know who this man is here beside me? That's WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Jim, how you doing, brother?
Well, Marcus, you know what we got to do, brother. We're going to do one together. Here we go, baby. Everybody should start the day off with a good hole.
I'll tell you what, it's a great way to start a podcast. Gets everybody up, ready to roll. I know I'm ready, man.
Well, it's me, Owen, I'll tell you. That's what people say, Hacksaw, that's a great character. I said, what character?
We're going to be talking about that and your natural charisma today, especially because you joined a group that needed a little injection of charisma. We're talking about, you mentioned it on episode 1, and we're actually bringing it up because it happened around this time in the year 2000. You joined Team Canada and turned heel for the first time in 17 years, Jim.
Imagine that, man. I tell you, because, as we were talking, Marcus, back the last time, I think what they were really doing, at least Vince Russo was trying to do, was push me out of my contract.
Yeah.
I had a pretty decent contract down there at the WCW. They were bringing in some young guys. I know guys who weren't real happy doing jobs for me. I was kind of the old timer. And so they flew me up to Atlanta, the CNN Tower. We go up there and sit down in the office, and they said, well, they're going to say, Duggan, we're going to turn you into the janitor on the WCW. And so they made me the janitor, and the whole janitor gimmick worked. It took off pretty good. We were doing the Saturday shows. Jimmy Hart was producing the shows. I want to say, I can't think of the guy's name, it was a Cuban guy. I worked with him a million times. We had a good little angle. I found the TV title on the trash. I would wear it to the ring upside down and backwards. The whole Saturday afternoon show, they had like a tenth of the budget of Thursday Thunder. We were doing better numbers than them, But anyway, so I don't know if it's just I don't know what the real reason was, but they fly me back up to Atlanta, and they sent me down. We're in the up in the CNN Tower. You got to take a ride up in the tower. And the last time I was up in the tower with the Brian Knobs was on the elevator with me, right? And back then, Larry King gets on the elevator, and Knobs, he's like, Larry, how are your ratings? We're killing you, Larry. Knobs, leave Larry King alone, geez. But anyway, this next time they fly me up, I go into the office, they're sitting in there, and they're like, Duggan, we're going to turn you against America. And I'm like, geez, turn me against America. The whole USA thing is just, that it works. It's who I am. But turn me against America, Iraq, Iran, what are they going to do with this? I'm sitting there thinking to myself, and they're like, yeah, we're going to make you part of Team Canada. Of course, we got a lot of heat with the Canadians. What the hell? I know. But anyway, it was Hugh Morris, Lance Storm, who was a great wrestling talent, but was really light on the mic. Back then he really was. He blossomed into a top star, but back then he was really light on the mic. Major guns. Mm-hmm. So there was 2 good reasons to be over there. I'll tell you that. No, I don't know what else they had in there. I can't think of who else, and we'd go down to the ring, and Lance would be as vanilla as possible, hold the mic and say, could I please have everyone's attention? And I could believe him. I'd be Hacksaw. I'd be running around. I'm going to deal. And they're like, the officers called me back then, and they're like, Hacksaw, can you tone your stuff down a little bit? We're trying to get Lance over. To tone my stuff down. I mean, tell that kid to tone his stuff up. What the heck are you talking about? This is the big leagues, And over time, Lance, of course, did become a whole huge star and doing great and helping a lot of the young kids. But and another good thing about it is down the road when they finally made the final decision to go for it. And of course, I have long hair and a beard pretty much my whole adult life. So I went to a barbershop. And the other lady was like, I said, yeah, cut everything off. She shaved the beard, she cut the hair down, and, like kind of, I got a ponytail now, but kind of like this. Mm-hmm. I'll put a suit on, everybody's wearing sweats back then because you're on the road so much, I got a suit. I go and I'm there early. I'm sitting in the dressing room, sitting there, Everybody's coming. All the boys are coming. Nobody has a clue who the hell I am.
I've got this picture, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there and watching everybody. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, and nobody's expecting it at all. And so they were all dressed. Everybody's eyeballing me, and come to find out, they thought I was the commissioner. They thought I was a new commissioner. and I joke, I go, "Hey, how about that Duggan guy?" See what they had to say about me, right? But I joke, and then I flew home. My wife met me at the airport. We were living in Louisiana at the time, Pineville, Louisiana, a little small Alexandria airport. And I don't tell her nothing about my hair. I get off the plane, and she says, "Oh my gosh!" She goes, "This is great. You look totally different."
Hey, wait a minute.
I said, "Put the red wig back on, honey. It's okay." Obviously, my wife's got a good sense of humor, Marcus.
Man, let me say, going back through all these notes, it seemed like, maybe not the greatest creative for you, but like you were having a blast, and I could tell you were having a blast just like seeing all of the stuff on watching back clips on YouTube and whatnot. Like, I don't know, it kind of looks like you're having a lot of fun. Or is it just your natural charisma? You just make it look like fun.
No, yeah, I really was. No, I wasn't happy at all. Of course, it also got me a trip to Australia. Me and Deborah, we went to Australia because they were just getting ready the company was just getting ready to go down there on a tour. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of a good angle. So they stuck me in, and we got a nice 2 weeks in Australia with it also. But no, I wasn't happy doing it at all. It's been my honor, my privilege to carry our flag all around the world. And, when I'm standing out there chanting USA, USA, it's not because they gave me the bus like Lex Express. It's because it's coming from the heart. It's who I am. And to go against that, I think even a lot of the fans, I had some heat, but a lot of the fans were like, "God, come on, Hacksaw." And of course I choked. I said, right after that decision, the company went under.
Yeah, well, makes you wonder.
Yeah, but that was just one of the many decisions. It's not rocket science. People, especially back then, they loved to cheer USA. Man, you put me against Russian, Iraqi, whoever. Man, we had the place rocking, and I think that's kind of missing nowadays.
I think so too. Certainly that kind of passion is missing nowadays, and I don't know if it's the death of kayfabe that's done it or what the story is, but yeah.
Well, who killed kayfabe, right, brother?
Who's that?
Me and the Sheik. Are you kidding? That's what the boys. Yeah, who killed kayfabe? Well, I gotta live with it. Made my own bed there.
We may have,
but anyway,
we may have to do an episode on that. Well, so look, you mentioned going down to CNN Towers and them kind of pitching this idea to you, and
they didn't really kind of pitch it. It was this or the door, highway, my way or a highway, And of course, I just kind of left the WWF, that car. Of course, they went to the E. For sure they didn't want me. They brought Lex in. They went in that direction. So I knew the writing was on the wall. I had done the indies before I found WCW, thanks to the Hulkster. He went down there and that opened the door. And so I was going to kind of go along with what they wanted.
So when they bring this up to you, there's no resistance. You're just like, "Yep, I'll do it. No problem."
Oh yeah, I always. And even when they made me the janitor in the WCW, I said, "You give me my TV time, I'll get this stuff over one way or the other. Them as quick as whatever works." 40 years, 40 years, pretty much. And it's hard to stay current. It's hard to have that long kind of career in our business. As we talked last time, it's such a competitive business. And especially, I haven't really changed my gimmick at all, except that Team Canada thing that you brought up.
Yeah, right, that whole thing. Well, so, you mentioned Vince Russo a little bit earlier, and I've got this note from the Observer about him from August 28th. And you can really see that things are just kind of coming apart at the seams here in WCW, and this note really indicates it. Vince Russo, in a WCW Live interview, which had numerous people internally spinning their heads, stated that he had just 60 weeks left on his contract, and at that point, if he lasted that long, which he doubted he would leave pro wrestling forever. And it continues, Russo remains popular among the young wrestlers as well as veterans who have moved up on the card because of the absence of so many of the older wrestlers that had dominated main events for years. But much of the rest of the company has lost confidence in his abilities and grown tired of his weekly excuses. So Russo clearly struggling here. And as you mentioned, these are the dying days of WCW. Jim, we don't pull any punches here on
did he make himself world champion?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
And
I mean, you might say the angle might be a little tough, if you're writing the storyline like, well, I'm the world champion. Sending all the big guys away from bottom 1, 2, 3. Look, honey. Maybe look. And then, Russo spins the deal. He says, well, I was doing Duggan a favor, bringing him into WCW after WWE. But you know what? WCW goes under, Russo goes home, all his top boys go home, Hacksaw, Jim Duggan. I go up to WWE, and I work with DiBiase's kid, Dusty's kid, and Orton's kid. Who's doing who a favor?
That's it, man. I mean, you proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that it had absolutely nothing to do with you.
But anyway, get me in a bad mood. Yeah.
Sorry. Well, look.
No, I'm just joking. It doesn't bother me one way or the other, to tell you the truth. I have no hard feelings of Vince Russo. Let him bygones be bygones, does what he do.
Now, at the time here, though, I mean, like, it mentions popular among the younger wrestlers. Maybe the veteran wrestlers aren't that crazy about him. Did you have any kind of relationship with Russo at all at this point, or is it just kind of passing each other in the hall?
Just passing it. I very seldom had any interaction with the office, Mid-South, anybody. I wasn't an office guy. I wasn't in there saying, hey, I got a great idea. Once in a while I'd pitch an idea. But usually I just say, send me out there, and I don't want fireworks. I want to hear the pop when I come out. Nowadays, hey, let's get a lot of fireworks. We'll get a good pop. Yeah, let me come out, hear my music, and have my pop. It didn't really matter. I was happy. Give me the opportunity, and of course that's how the old days they used to pay. Well, we're giving you the opportunity to be on TV, so here's $50. So yeah, give me the opportunity, and I could pretty much make it work with whoever they stuck me in the ring with.
That's interesting, because everybody was getting pyro in those days, and I just never put the pieces together. You were just coming out with your flag and your 2x4 and you get a big pop.
Which I like, man. That got me going. You say, oh, the people. I joke, because sometimes you're on the road. You've been on the road for how many weeks, and you haven't had a good meal. You've been out partying the night before, maybe a few too many cocktails. You're in the building, and you're lacing up your boots. You feel kind of tired. You grab your 2x4 and you get there to the curtain, and all of a sudden, comes through the curtain, everybody, you stop around. Holy smokes. That's the life, man. I tell you, I'm 70 years old. I got little goosebumps doing it now.
Yeah, you're getting me fired up over here.
Grab a board next time, Ken.
I'm going to bring a 2x4 down here.
Thank God you're not talking to Jake.
Well, something that's gotten a lot of attention recently due to a Dark Side of the Ring episode is the Bash at the Beach 2000, and the way that Hogan would ultimately leave the promotion. Jim, are you up to date on all the Dark Side of the Ring stuff?
No.
Oh, okay. I know.
I did two of the shows. Yeah, I did the one about Matt Bourne that I have seen. And it's funny, they came here to the house. They were here for every 4 or 5 hours, 3 cameras, shoot, 5 or 6 guys, and gave me 20 seconds.
Yep, I watched them.
But they paid. What the hell? They paid, and they came to the house, so it was a good deal. So the dog deal, I haven't seen yet. But I had such a great relationship with JYD. I'll be anxious to see how they're trying to spin that, because, like I said, you give them all that footage. They can use what they want.
Yep. And that's the thing. I've heard some guys complain along the way that they didn't feel that they were, accurately represented in those documentaries. Some guys say that it's great and they love the experience. So I don't know. I think it's kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah. Well, I don't watch too much of that or too much of wrestling. Then I'm trying to myself, after 40 years, The last thing I want to watch when I'm home is wrestling.
And I've heard some guys say like, hey, look, I would watch if it was like the bright side of the ring where they're talking about the nice stories from our business.
Yeah, that is the news. Bud sells, right? I mean, all that horror story sells. There's success stories in our business, but you don't hear a lot about them. And that's one of the things about McMahon. People say, well, you don't get a pension. Well, you don't work for the guy for 20 years to get a pension. Very few guys stay there 20 years, and you don't have insurance. Well, you know that going in. It's not like it's a surprise after you get done, but it's been a great business for a lot of people.
Yeah, and you kind of get paid an opportunity back then. I know that nobody had guaranteed contracts. I mean, you're guaranteed with like downside guarantee of like $1,500 a year or something like that. And really, it's like you're kind of being paid an opportunity. Like, get out there, get yourself over, and you'll make a lot of money. And a lot of guys did. Some guys didn't. Yeah,
well, that's what the opportunity Andre the Giant gave me when I knocked him out with my 2x4. That made us elevated. That elevated me to a main event level. And me and Andre, we went around the world working together. I wrestled Andre the Giant. So I worked every night Andre wanted to work, and he wanted to work a lot. But that was probably my best year in the business, too, because I was on top with Andre, and we worked a bunch.
Man, it's cool following your social media. You post a lot about like kind of the places that you're going there with Andre 35 years ago. So it's fun to look back at those days.
Yeah, well, this past weekend I was just in Memphis or Tupelo, Mississippi, and it was great. I went backstage with all the boys, and I mean, I joke. I said, the boys are the boys, no matter what generation or no matter what country you're in. Pro wrestlers are pro wrestlers, and it's nice to go back and see all the young guys and wish them luck. And of course, they always come to Hacksaw. You got any advice for me? And I'm like, yeah. I said, getting golf clubs. That's where the money's at, and a lot easier on the body. No, I always tell kids, chase your dreams, because as I said before, Daniel Bryan. I look at that guy. I'm like, good talent, but he ain't going to make it. Guy with the heart, the work ethic, the desire. Give a huge star.
Incredible, man.
So you never know. I mean, who thought a 2x4 and a guy named Hacksaw? How come you're not 2x4, Duggan?
I think Hacksaw rolls off the tongue a little bit better.
Yeah, I said it's wrestling. It doesn't have to make sense.
Well, in the same issue of the Observer, you're named among the roster cuts of the era for whatever reason. This is right before you get the call to become part of Team Canada. So there's like a lot of their big stars that they have a lot of equity in, like Kurt Hennig, Brian Knobbs, Miss Elizabeth, Mike Rotunda, and plenty more are getting cut from the roster. And you were among the names, with I guess the idea being that you would be under contract still, so they'd still have to pay you, but you just ride it out at home. Do you have any recollection of them approaching you about being cut before this Team Canada angle came along?
No, that's pretty much when they suggest. I think, this is all news to me, Marcus, so I never knew any of this. But I think that's why they gave me the Team Canada deal, assuming that I would quit.
Right.
But this is the way I feed my family, I mean, it's, if you're on Big Valley, they're going to make you a bad guy. Well, what the hell?
It doesn't make any sense to just like say, okay, you're cut and send somebody home. And
especially a guy like Kurt Hennig. Who would cut Kurt Hennig?
Unbelievable.
Kurt was a great technical wrestler. Kurt was a great wrestler, great talent. Kurt was a good friend. He had a 1,000 moves. People like, Hacksaw, what was your favorite move? I said, I kick and punch. I'm a brawler. I'm not a wrestler. Kurt was a great one. But I'll tell you a story about Kurt. We were up at a hockey game promoting a show coming in after the hockey game the next night, whatever city up in the northeast. And we went out and dropped a puck in it. And at the end of the first period, I went out. They run out a little walkway to walk on. I walk out on the walkway. Oh, USA. Second period, they roll the walkway out. Kurt's a heel, of course. He's sneering at everybody. Everybody in the place is booing. Kurt intentionally steps off the walkway. Whoop, 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 whoop. He takes a bump. The place went nuts. I tell you, the hockey team, the pop was here. Kurt's bump was here. I mean, I looked at that guy. I'm like, that's a pro.
Yes. I mean,
A second generation, as we talked before, second generation guys. Kurt, Jake, DiBiase, guys who grew up in the business, just that much more smarter in the business.
it takes an incredible lack of ego to do something like that too, where you're make a complete ass out of myself with this country.
And that's part of the job. I mean, when I first started wrestling, I came out of a football background, and I was very competitive in everything I did. I didn't watch wrestling. I'd never been to a wrestling show, and all of a sudden I'm wrestling, and I'm Big Jim Duggan, short hair and clean shaven. I'm about 270 back then, and they're like, Duggan, this kid's going to beat you in 8 minutes. I can beat him. I know I can beat him. What the hell? And of course, the guy I'm working with was like, holy smokes! Oh my God, Duggan. Of course, I was working with Mr. Wrestling number 2. I don't know if you remember Mr. Wrestling number 2. Yeah. He wore a white mask, and of course he ain't, because I'm careless and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just big and brawly. And we're in a tag match, and they tag me in, and two is looking at me. Here I come, boom, boom, boom. I hit him in the head. There's a little red dot, boom. As the match goes on, the dot gets bigger. So the whole mask is all blood. So where I split him open on the inside. So I saw it too at a wrestling convention. Because now he was an old timer. Now I got done working. I'm doing the indie show, so I'm working with the young kids. Mm-hmm. They're 6'5", 300 pounds, 43 years old. Mr. Duggan, are we on TV tonight? I'm like, I hope not, son. I'm telling you. It's a big crowd, 200 or 300 people. I'm like, where's my 2x4? So I saw it too. I went up. I said, hey, Joe, it's gone full circle. I'm getting beat up now by the young kids.
Man, it's funny because you always hear that guys who transition from contact sports, football or boxing or whatever, they tend to be a little bit rough whenever they first get into pro wrestling, and maybe you guys don't so much enjoy working with them. I've heard the same thing about Steve Williams whenever he came in. Doc.
Oh yeah, Doc was one of my best friends. Two of my 3 best friends, God bless them, were all gone.
Man.
Terry Gordy, I lived with Gordy back in the day in Georgia Championship for wrestling at the Falcon Rest, which is right out of Animal Kingdom. I don't know if you ever saw that show, but it was a wild place. 2-story hotel, just full of wrestlers. And then I lived with Doc in Louisiana. I was living with Doc with my wife, Deborah, man. And all 3 of us were really good friends. And then, of course, Piper. All 3 of them were gone, God bless them.
And God bless him is right. What a
they were good. All 3 good guys, man. I'll tell you, man. And 3 tough guys, especially Gordy. I'll tell you a quick story about me and Gordy. Back in the day, we were out partying, and the grappler, Len Denton.
Yeah.
He wouldn't come out with us. We're like, Denton, come on. He goes, I ain't going out with you guys. So we went out. We got smashed. We come back. We're staying at the Alamo Plaza in Shreveport, Louisiana. The boys stayed there all the time. So we get back, we're drunk, of course, and we go up to the grappler's room. Open up, grappler, open up. Of course, he ain't going to open up, Gordy said, get out of the way. Gordy hits the door. The door doesn't open. I'm like, get out of the way, Gordy. I run back. I hit the door. Door doesn't open. Gordy grabs me by the ass. We get back. The whole door, the jam, everything was crashing down. That was the wrong road. There's a guy in there on the phone screaming, they're holding here. What are you in here me?
Oh my God.
And Grandpa was next door looking through the curtain, watching the whole deal, And of course, all the cops come when it comes. But back then, this was Mid-South. We paid the damages. We got thrown out of the hotel, and, nobody got popped. But, Gordy was a good guy.
Man, imagine that guy's reaction seeing 2.
My daughters always say, imagine him telling this story.
Unbelievable. Man, I can't wait to.
Lucky we didn't get shot, Lucky we didn't get shot. Right. Then we didn't get shot at a few times over the years. But that's another story.
I cannot wait to talk more about Mid-South. There will be plenty of that here in our future. Let's get back to WCW in 2000.
Oh, sorry.
I'm
wandering there, Marcus.
Hey, look, I like the diversions. Let's keep doing it. On September 11th, 2000, episode of Nitro, ahead of a match between Lance Storm and Hugh Morris, who is now General Erection, you came out to the ring and retired. You mentioned your 2-year battle with cancer. Yep. So this is all part of the angle where you're coming out, because you had the speech previously. We talked about it on episode 1, where you came out and you gave people the news.
Right, give them the heads up. Yeah, gotcha, brother. Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's part of they're making it part of a storyline. You come out and you mention your 2-year battle with cancer. You talked about being unable to defeat Father Time, and then talked about passing the torch to someone young and strong. And that's when you brought out General Erection, Hugh Morris, representing him with like. So Jim,
it must have been paying me awful good, I'll tell you.
General Erection, though, what did you think of that creative?
I think wrestling is a family-oriented show. And I think it should stay that way, even though it got me back into the WWE. So the General Erection, the major guns, they're appealing to a young male audience, obviously, that demographic. Even though that got me back into WWE because Lita was and that's what opened up the door for me to come back into WWE. But it was almost X-rated there for a while, where the guys were humping them on the bed and the lingerie, and I mean, but the pendulum swings back and forth. And you imagine trying to be a creative writer and come up with something new.
Oh man!
Maybe we can cut his head off.
And these were the days where, like, people on TV, no matter what channel, they were trying to kind of push the envelope and see how much they could get away with. And man,
yeah. Well, what's still work, Marcus? All that bullshit, all that stuff. Send me out there with a flag and a 2x4, and I'll have everybody in the building stand up going, "Oh, USA!" What the hell?
The proof is in the pudding here. We're going to talk about later how you got over as a member of Team Canada, where people still loved you and were cheering you. So we'll get there in a few minutes. But Lance Storm would come out during the segment and say nobody cares about your retirement, but you get the last laugh that night, interfering in the match and causing Lance to lose. So your retirement, Jim, this emotional retirement with General Erection, it would last until the Thunder taping the following day, when you agreed to team up with Rection to face Storm and Elix Skipper. Ultimately, they would just attack you backstage, so you'd be found with like a flag draped over you, which caused Erection to lose to the duo in a handicap match. So you're 2 days into the storyline, Jim, and it's already like just chaos here. How would you describe the backstage environment in WCW at this time?
At the end, it was horrible. Yeah, there was a lot of tension at the end. The young guys were really eyeballing the old timers. I think Buff Bagwell was even like, "It's time for these guys to move on." Yeah, I said, "Well, if you can carry the torch, brother, carry the torch. Take it away from us. I'm not going to give it to you, man. This is the way I feed my family. If you want my spot, come get it." Mm-hmm. I'm not going to give that shit. Walk away, my ass.
Hell no.
Take it.
Not when there's a guaranteed contract on the line. Who would? You'd be.
Yeah, that's not my character. No. I'm going to fight you all the way to the end, brother. That's why I had to fight every giant there is. Are you kidding? Yokozuna, Big Show, Andre, and I'm like, Doug, get your 2x4. Come on.
And to your point, it's like, okay, if you want this spot, just come and take it. Go get
it. Sure. Yeah. I said, stick me out there with anybody and see when the audio. Watch the audio thing gimmick. You will dial where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, that's what you had to do when you were coming up as a young man in pro wrestling. It's like you went out there and you got yourself over. The crowd loved you, and now you're a Hall of Famer. That's how it works.
Thank God for the folks. I love them.
So we're all set for what would be the final Fall Brawl, which would take place on September 17th. And Lance Storm is defending his U.S. title, or I guess Canadian title, against General Erection, who had you in his corner. And we're going to watch the final few minutes of it right now.
Crossbody attempt, the big guy, put him in midair. Good wrench, that's it.
What power from General Erection. Lance Storm is out. This may be it. 2. No, it's going to take Erection wrestling the match of his life to beat Lance Storm, but right now that's what he's wrestling. The match of his life, Erection is unbelievable.
It was slow on the cover that time by General Erection. Slow on the cover, and Lance Storm was able to escape. Trying a vertical suplex. Go behind. Front chancery now. And look at this, he's pounding away. Both men are spent. Both men giving it their all here. Foot. Dragon screw leg whip, and the big guy goes down.
He may have hyperextended that bad left knee on General Erection. Now Storm, turn the Maple Leaf. Turn him, Maple Leaf, yeah. Turn him into Maple Leaf.
No, too strong in the legs. Kicked him away. Not yet.
How does Erection have this much left?
Pounding now.
You saw Major Guns and ringside. Oh, right on the back of his head.
German release suplex that time. It dropped him sharply on the mat. Look how wobbly Storm is getting up, and Storm goes all the way down.
All the way out to the rail. Major Guns is going nuts every time.
Yes.
Here we go.
There's your enforcer. Throwing him back in.
Good job by Jim Duggan. That's ridiculous. Lance had a 10 count to rest, and Duggan cheated him out of it.
Duggan here, thanks. And now Duggan. Duggan wants to get involved. He's up.
Storm is out. Storm is out.
Major Guns got the other referee. Look at that. He's one move away from winning the United States.
Move, Lance. Move.
Try to
no. Yes. No. Wait. Why did he do that? Duggan hit General Erection.
What the hell went on?
Why did he do that?
I don't know. And now he's out. He has to tap out. He's out.
Oh, man.
What did we just witness?
What the hell? No! My God, no! Major God stays in Canada! Duggan's wearing the Maple Leaf!
Like, not Jim Duggan!
This is a black day for the United States of America! This is tremendous! If Jim Duggan can spot the Canada's better, if Jim Duggan can defect the North, he's beating up MIA! This is great! It shows that Canada is superior! It shows that Canada has something for everybody! Even Jim Duggan, this is great!
I don't know what the story is here, but this is pathetic. This is one of the worst takes.
There was Jim, the heel. 17.
Wow, I was shocked myself. I wouldn't. That was. I guess that's the business, But we had, as you noticed before all that, the place was walking USA. We could have got a lot more mileage out of that. I think that was kind of a hot shot. They got a little pop out of it and then died off. Where I think the USA thing would have steadily stayed where it's at, But that's why I'm not in Stanford.
Going out here, so years of this established character, and now, like I said, it's been 17 years since you were a heel. Now all of a sudden you're flipping on America and everything's changing. Would you say that you were nervous going into this at all?
No, if you're nervous at this level, you don't belong up here, brother. This is the big leagues, caps and sleeves at this level, and you got to know what you're doing. So it doesn't matter what they have you do, go out there and do it. And of course, they look at that to the extreme. Owen Hart, they'll ask you to do anything.
Yes.
That if you don't do it, this guy will.
That's it too. This is guaranteed contracts, yes, but this is still very much the era of kind of protecting your spot and making sure that, you have.
They want to get over, yeah. But I think at that point, a lot of people saw the writing on the wall, that the WCW was going. Jimmy Hart used to joke. He said, it's like being on the Titanic, brother. He said, what's going now, but hang on as long as you can. It was nice to have contracts because WWF, you didn't have contracts. You didn't work. You didn't get paid. That was the huge WCW revolutionized the business going to contracts. Now everybody's contracts.
Now, if you felt like they were kind of nudging you out the door by trying to give you bad creative, so obviously you knew okay, they're probably not going to renew my contract whenever it is up. So, at this time, were you thinking ahead okay, when my contract is up, I'll see about getting in touch with Vince or maybe try out the indies, or did you have a plan, or you just kind of riding it out at this time?
Well, no, you always, I knew I was going to get back with Vince, and that wasn't going to happen. I just, at that point in time, with Generation X and all that stuff, No way Hacksaw with a 2x4 and flag was going to fit in there. They might bring me up there and eat me up or something, but not keep me around. So I knew I was doing the indie circuits, and the indie circuits are really pretty good. You know, work is every weekend there's a show somewhere. And some are great, you know, and you know, a lot of indie guys are one-night wonders, God bless them, where they they have the limo there, you stay in at the Hyatt, and you come to this big arena, and there's more security. Hey, who's that?
A run-in from Deborah.
It's a run-in. I'll tell you a run-in story later, but yeah, they blow all their money, and it's promoting a show is extremely hard. And in all the years I've been in wrestling, I've never promoted a show. A lot of folks say they put a lot of money into it, bring in a lot of top talent, and don't draw and lose a lot of money. But on the other hand, a lot of small companies are extremely successful, man. And you go and they got great houses, and you do good selling your gimmicks and taking pictures in the ring at intermission. It's a good little sideline. It sure is.
And it's got to be kind of a relief after years of like, okay, I've got to be in this city next week, and then I'm on to this one. And now all of a sudden you kind of get to take it into your own hands and say like, well, I can book that if I want to, or I can take the week off, you know?
Yeah, but right after WCW, I was still hustling. You know, I'm still working. I got 2 young girls. I got to put them through school. I'm sweating a little bit. You know, it's not. It's different nowadays, of course. But back then, yeah, I was. You know, I wasn't scratching, but I was still working hard.
That is for sure, and it proves out here on WCW TV on Nitro. The next night, you would come out with Team Canada and reveal your new look. Like we mentioned, that blonde hair is gone, your signature beard gone.
It's something fun.
So I mean, just hilarious, amazing, and by the way, the reaction you're getting is just remarkable. What do you mean by that? The fans.
Are you surprised?
Well, they're trying to make you this villain now and turn against America. But like the Meltzer even mentioned throughout the Observer here, like everybody really likes Duggan in this role, and he was like, and I have to say, I think Jim's doing some of the best work of his career at this time. Because you're just coming out and you're owning it, and the fans love you despite the fact that you're supposed to be a heel. So, I mean, with all that happening, you're getting over in front of this audience. Are you like, okay, this angle is failing because they're supposed to hate me right now?
No, I just was worried about my career and my role. I wasn't worried about the Team Canada thing getting over, because I knew I was going to be around after Team Canada.
Right. And that's it too. You've got to kind of protect yourself. And by the way, this entire angle lasts like under 4 months. I think it's just over 3 months. So
we got the Australian tour out of it.
You did get to go to Australia in the middle of this.
It was fun too. It was fun to clean up. I did it again over the lockdown. I shaved on the internet, man, and I cut the hair way down. But yeah, it was fun to clean up back then too. Yeah.
You said that the boys backstage didn't quite recognize you right out of the gate.
No, not at all. Nobody had a clue who I was, man. Are you kidding me? I mean, look at the picture. I mean, well, of course, nowadays I do autograph signings, and the kids, they look at the picture, they look at me, and they look back at it. Yeah, a few years ago. But that's Big Jim Duggan. That's how I started the business. Short hair, clean shaven, Big Jim Duggan. Then I switched to the Convict. Then I switched to Wild Man. And I became Hacksaw. So out of 40 years, that's what I tell the young guys. Out of 40 years, 36. Hey, stop her!
Sting in the rafters back there.
Can't work up her. But I tell the young kids, feel free to change your gimmick. Don't feel like you're locked into something. Try different things. Find something that you're comfortable with. Find something that you relate to. Find something that you are. I joke, I said, there was no way I was going to be handsome Jimmy Duggan. So I had to come up with the right gimmick.
Well, let me say that photo I keep showing here of you clean shaven, we've got to get you one of those 8x10s for your gimmick table. I bet they'd be big sellers up in Canada.
Yeah. Actually, I have a lot of them, because after the company went under, like I said, it went under quick. They sent me a couple of boxes of them.
Oh, man.
No, we only got 5 of them left, folks. So
Only 5 left.
No, I'm joking.
I was going to say, what?
Yeah, so buy them now.
Low price of $500.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it was a fun part of my career. It sure was. I mean, it was a part of it that I didn't really enjoy, but I mean, I'd rather be carrying our flag. I sure would have. But I was glad to still be around. And I'm glad I've got what's Meltzer?
Yeah, Dave Meltzer.
Yeah, and he, I mean, if people thought that was some of my good stuff, that's good. Because, my career has changed. Over Mid-South was a totally different character than my end at WWF, Mid-South, I chopped a lot of meat. That was a pretty stiff territory, it was pretty much everything was a shoot except the finish.
Right.
When by the time I finished when I was at WWF, when I was the king of wrestling, I had the cape, the crown, the flag, the board, the thumb, the tongue, the hole, and the cross-eye. My character went in a whole different direction, but you don't last 40 years chopping meat.
Yep, got to change a little bit. And let me say, Jim, as I'm only 36, so I started watching wrestling in like 97, 98, around there. So I was unfamiliar with your Mid-South work. Whenever I started watching it and I would see you, it's like the end of every match. You're just like covered in blood and stomping around the ring. I'm like, man, this is really good stuff.
I'll tell you a quick story about the juice. I tell you, me and Buzz Sawyer in a dog collar match down there is as good as any hardcore match anywhere. But the juice story was Mid-South. You can get juice all the time. And people are like, well, it's a blood capsule, isn't it? I'm like, I wish it was a blood capsule. It's a razor blade. What the hell, blood capsule, my ass. But anyway, every night we were getting the juice. Me and DiBiase were on top, and we get the juice every night. And let me know if I ever tell you a story twice, brother.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. No, anyway, so our heads are just like Hamburg, when you used to, in the old days, you put a little piece of white athletic tape on it, and, and you'd be sitting on the airplane, your buddy come by and goes, that's still sore?
Thanks.
And of course, I'd open up and start laying on the plane, and everybody would be panicking. But anyway, Teddy and I, we got juice every night, and our heads are just hamburger. Big Catering Lance and Booker were doing a matinee show in Lafayette, Louisiana. There's like 100 people in the arena, and we're like, Big Cat, there's nobody out there. Let our heads heal up a little bit. How about no juice tonight? And Arnie's like, okay, no juice tonight. So Ted and I, we had this standard spot, 1, 2, 1, 2, duck, ass, bump, boom. So we get out there, 1, 2, 1, 2, boom. I hit Teddy in the nose. It's like I cut his throat. Blood just.
He's like, you did it on purpose?
No. See, that's the deal. You work with guys like that, and especially me. Of course, not that I didn't get my share of potatoes, though. I did another one because I didn't like getting juice. I just didn't like the idea of desecrating my body. Pain, everything hurts. So what the hell? The pain's not that bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, DiBiase's always on me. You need to get more juice. So we're like in Baton Rouge. Teddy's working me over, and I get the juice going. He goes, no, it ain't coming, brother. It ain't coming. A bit more, No, Jesus, Jim, it ain't coming, brother. Come on, hacker. Boom, 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 come on, heck, come on. So I'm going coast to coast. I went ankle deep in blood. Get some more. And then don't ever let anybody else cut you.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times the guys at the Indies, they go, I don't know how to do it. If you want me, you can cut me if you want. Don't ever let anybody cut you, brother.
Why is that?
Because they don't have no regard for you.
Okay.
They want to get their shit over, and everybody gaff you big time. Now, some guys care, but usually that's something, especially on the indie shows. A lot of young guys go, I don't know how to get the juice, and you can get it for me. God, yeah, sure. I got a hatchet here, bro. Scalpel me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that some guys can get cut deep enough that they need stitches. What's your method? Like, is it just like a little prick and drag a little bit, or what?
Well, it depends on the show.
Okay.
If it's a big show, you're going coast to coast.
Wow.
If you're, in Minot, North Dakota, you stick a pin in.
I mean, you're out there and you're all like amped up and full of piss and vinegar in front of this audience. You ever overdo it on yourself and get?
Oh yeah. But I tell you what, Marcus, no matter how hot a crowd is, the crowd is rabid. They're You pop that juice, whole different level, man. They come in the ring with you.
Wow.
You know, because back in the day, they believe it, man. You know, you beating up Ricky Morton, that blonde hair is all covered in blood. You killed Ricky, I'll help you.
Well, some other fun stuff that you're doing in this Team Canada thing, Jim, is you mentioned Major Guns, and she's wearing these really revealing outfits because, you know, that's her gimmick. And those
were her gimmicks.
Those were her gimmicks. and they, I don't think they were.
And they work. What the hell? If it works, go with it. What the hell?
That's
what I joke about. I said back in my day, a lady wrestler was a lady wrestler. You know. Now they're all young, beautiful divas. I mean, what the hell?
Oh yeah, no.
But you're going about guns each. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. They did not look the same back then as they do today. That's for sure. But you would.
Oh, you mean
those are probably.
I don't know. I haven't seen her in years. I don't know what you're talking about.
Those are probably different too.
Yeah, I would imagine.
but you would tell her that she wasn't being a good representative of Canada, and so you would cover her up. So that people couldn't see her, and that's heat, brother. Covering up the beautiful lady. So just
got over at home.
I'm sure Deborah was like, "Good for you, Jim." That's right.
She wasn't worried, you know. She's like,
man, it just some pretty good stuff here during a time when maybe the creative was not fantastic. You're also teaming up with young Elix Skipper. You go on to have his greatest fame in TNA. Very different wrestling style from your own. How do you manage a tag team with a guy whose style is more like fast and high flying, and your approach is more of like a brawl?
Well, I thought that was a good contrast. You know, you got the kid flying around, especially just standard tag team stuff. You got the young guy that'll take all the heat, make the tag, the big brawler and come in and usually make this, kick ass. Give the tag back to the kid, he'll do some fine finish. It's wrestling 101.
Yeah, so I mean, is it you're letting him kind of take care of most of the action and you're getting the hot tag?
Yeah, so I'm definitely working the apron, brother.
Yeah.
I can work that on the apron, I'll tell you that. Sergeant Slaughter used to be the best at short arm tag. He'd go to give you the tag and, no, sir. Like, Sarge.
That's great. Well,
but you would probably know the majority of the best. That's on the indie shows too. I work the indie shows that have the young kid do, most of the match, tag the old timer in and do the finish.
That's the way to do it, man. You are thwarting General Erection every time here, hitting him with the 2x4, making him lose to Jeff Jarrett. Bill DeMott, not a guy we're probably going to discuss a lot here on the Hacksaw Hour. How were your experiences with him? The Observer has it that you guys were pretty close friends.
Actually, we were friends. I would say we're close friends. We lived in the same town. Our wives were close friends.
Okay.
Deborah and Rose were good friends. They since divorced Rose, but Deborah and Rose have stayed buddies. We live in Titusville, Florida, so it's odd that we had ended up in that same town. So we both use the Orlando airport. So just for convenience, it worked out. We get the same rent a car, or fly the same flights and stuff. We became friends over a period of time. Sure.
Yeah, and he was a good worker, man. A guy that size, very like Bam Bam Bigelow-esque, like a big guy who could move and fly when necessary.
Yeah, he was a good talent. Yeah, it sure was. But there's a lot of good talent out there, brother.
Yes, sir.
It's just seeing good talent. That's why it's so great to see. By doing the indie shows, I saw a kid on the indies. Maybe he might have a chance out there. See who might make it. Someone's going to break through the CM good talent to become the top guy.
So, Jim, at Halloween Havoc, Erection would beat yourself and Storm in a handicap match for the U.S. title. He'd pin you after a moonsault from the top rope. Let's go ahead and check out that clip.
Numbers, are they too great for the general here? Are they too great?
Got to get one of these guys out of here, Tony.
Well, the referee down there.
Oh, man. Double
Oh, the referee that time.
3 people out.
The referee went down that time as Lance Storm collided. In the back of his head, hit the front of the head of the referee. And now Duggan has 3 men down, like you said, Stevie. Only thing he's going to do is pick up the pieces, and they're going to retain the title, and they'll retain the services of Major Guns.
Right in the head with the palm of his hands right now, Tony. Now, Duggan accidentally kicked Lance Storm a minute ago, but there's no problem. What's he doing for you?
He's gonna pop. Oh, Lord, that's it.
Could have broke his neck, Tony.
It may have. It may have. But look.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Try to get
1, 2, 3. Shut up, man. 1, 2, 3.
It's 12. Go ahead. Here's the referee over now. 1, 2. He kicked off and he kicked him on the referee.
Look at this stupid American ref. He can't count. He can't get out of the way. Who is this Jay Brown?
He's been pulled out of the way here by Hacksaw. Oh, it's prime time. Oh, it's Major Gun time. She's had it. Yeah, he had enough.
What a turncoat she is.
Yeah, you know.
Give me that fork.
Storm is confronting Major Guns on the outside while Duggan battles. Looks like still a lifeless General Erection on the inside. Major Guns, Lance Storm. What the hell are you doing? She put him out. She put him away. Duggan down. Two back north. General Erection. Yes. The combination call.
No, Tony's going up. Oh, no, and I'm going to have to yell when I hate to yell. If he hits this ball, fly, badass, fly!
There's the finish, Jim. Boy, I mean, what an athlete.
It certainly was. The finish of the company.
He just hit you with his head on that one.
Yeah, he had a hard head.
Yeah.
And he hit me in my soft spot, too, the belly.
I think it works. Yeah, it's.
But Guns look good, I'll tell you. What else happened in that match?
Yeah, I mean, you don't need much else.
No, yeah. Just, never mind. I won't tell that joke.
It's never still down. No,
I ain't worried about her. She's heard them all. She can finish the rest of the show. Excuse me.
Jim, this is the final Halloween Havoc ever. The only pay-per-view match was a member of Team Canada, and that's the end of it. By December, Team Canada turns on you and replaces you with Mike Awesome. You would come out and apologize to your
Mike who?
Mike Awesome from ECW. You remember him? Big guy, really big, tall guy.
Well, that narrows it down.
Powerbomb people with dark hair.
Oh, yeah. There. 2 arms, 2 legs.
He had a nose, eyes.
Yeah. So he replaced me. So when I came out, and what did I do?
You would come out and apologize to your father, your family, and the fans of WCW for your evil ways. And now you're back to being a baby face. But yeah, Jim, it was getting over. And like I said, Meltzer loved what you were doing. Do you feel like they pulled the plug on what you were doing because you were getting such a great baby face reaction? Because this was short lived.
I don't really remember, but it had to be heavy. I apologize to my pop. My pop was my best man at my wedding, best man I've ever met. So to bring him in on an interview would be something. So obviously it was a big point, but I really don't remember it, brother. Like I don't remember guy.
I'm asking you to reach back, whatever it is now, 23 years, and recall some of this stuff. so it's asking a lot for one promo in your career.
Yeah, there's been a few chair shots over the years, brother.
But Jim, let's put a pin in the Team Canada conversation. How do you feel the whole thing came off ultimately? Are you glad it happened? Sad it happened? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm glad it happened because I stayed around for how many more weeks or months longer and made my salary and paid my bills and stuff like that. And again, it was fun to clean up and physically different appearance. And also, it was kind of neat to do something different and be a heel, because no matter what, even as a babyface, you're going to have a certain percentage of people that hate you. They just don't going to like you. That's just the way it is. And you can't take it to heart. That's like some guys, they don't, they say so horrible things about me on Facebook. Well, don't read it.
You can't please everybody.
Yeah, don't worry about it. What the hell? Of course, I joke. I said, you're a good guy. You go to the ring, you hear that one boo. You're like, what the hell?
Who did that?
Who is that? Security.
Well, we're We're pleasing everybody over on Ad-Free Shows. We'll be back next week with another mailbag version of the Hacksaw Hour where we'll take your questions.
What you call her?
Maybe we should rename that mailbag. I don't know if that's going to work.
Yeah, none of that. Nothing I'm getting heat over that. You hurt my feelings.
Guys, we will be back in 2 weeks. Thank you for joining us here on the Hacksaw Hour.
What are we doing, Marcus? Let's go, baby.
Do it.
See you, folks.
See you guys.